that little boat, the shallop that they had brought over in pieces on the Mayflower. They assembled it and rigged it, and they started searching around the inside of Cape Cod looking for running fresh water. The first substantial or real continually running freshwater stream that they came to was Town Brook in Plymouth. That spot I pointed out by the marina at the state park. It was then, as it is today, 365 days a year, a running freshwater stream. There were natives living in the area at the time, and they were growing their crops very well, so they knew the land was good to grow their crops in. They looked at the harbor, they saw this outer barrier beach that we're alongside of now. It was a protected harbor, not a great harbor, but a good harbor. They had good land, good harbor, plenty of water, and they made the decision to stay here in what they called barrier beach that we're now alongside of. It's called Plymouth Long Beach. It's 3.5 miles long from its northern tip in front of us to behind us where it connects into land. The houses you see out here are all privately owned, and they must supply their own electricity and water. Today they use solar panels, windmills, and propane gas for heat, light, and refrigeration. They changed from originally nothing much more than little gunning shacks on the beach into these larger and larger houses out here. They've become very desirable. They have this great inside harbor view and wonderful sunsets and that great sandy beach on the outside. And here comes one of our less polite mariners right past us in full speed. Over the years, Plymouth Beach has suffered from a substantial amount of erosion. One of the worst storms was a no-name storm of the winter of '78, and shortly thereafter the town of Plymouth embarked on a beach restoration program. Before that, you could take your four-wheel drive vehicle, beach buggy, out on the beach and literally go crashing through the dunes. Well, they stopped that. You can no longer go near the dunes. And they started replanting the yellowy green grass you see out there. Beach grass is critical to the beach because it captures the sand that's blown around in the wind. And just by replanting and protecting the beach grass, the dunes have started to reconstitute themselves. They still suffer from many winter storms, but at least now there's a natural cycle to it. At that same time, back in '78, the town also declared that this whole northern tip of the beach, from that last house with the green trim on it out to the end of the point, would be a bird sanctuary. It's particularly important in the spring of the year when the nesting of a little endangered beach tern called a piping plover is nesting. And in the early spring, this whole end of the beach is completely restricted. You're not allowed out on it at all. At this time of year, you can use the beach below the high water mark. We're approaching high water, so the beach is getting smaller. But you'll notice a number of yellow signs on posts at the base of the sand dunes, and those signs tell people that they are never allowed to go up into the sand dunes. That's to protect the grass and the nesting birds. The bird sanctuary program has been very effective, and as we reach the end of the point, I'm sure you'll see a number of flocks of birds sitting on the beach or flying above the dunes. Switching sides now, looking back into the town of Plymouth, into the village. Towards the north end or right end of town, it's pretty hard to see at this time of day because of the angle of the sun, but you see that green and white striped tent down on the waterfront. Well, just a little past that, just sticking above the top of the trees, is a large granite monument. A woman with her right arm held to the heavens. That is the Forefathers Monument. on another one of those centennials, the bicentennial in 1820, they decided to build that monument in honor of our Pilgrim forefathers. It wasn't completed until the late 1860s. Budgets were tight, and they actually reduced the scale of the project by 50%, so it's only half the size it was originally intended to be. But if you're over by it, it is a very beautiful, beautifully carved, freestanding granite monument, very large. Some people say it looks a lot like the Statue of Liberty, but in fact it predates the Statue of Liberty by many years. So you could rightfully say the Statue of Liberty looks an awful lot like the forefathers' monument. If you continue to look along the shoreline up to the north, you'll see a large smokestack and some large red brick factory buildings. That was the Plymouth Portage Company, and we'll talk more about the Portage Company in a little bit. But just past those buildings, about 2 blocks, is the Plymouth-Kingston town line, the northern end of the town of Plymouth. If you were to go 17 miles to the south, you would reach the southern end of the town of Plymouth.